Before we start today's video, I have to let you know that it's not going to be a regular Freaky Friday video. Today, I'm not going to be sitting here telling you scary customs or a scary story, but there are some terrifying things that will be happening throughout this video. Number 1, I will be eating peanut butter out of this jar. Number 2, I'll be going off script for all of this video. And when I mean off script, I mean I didn't write down anything. There's no bullet points. I am winging this right out my ass. Number 3, I'm a little gassy. For the majority, I'm assuming that'll be a terrifying thought. And obviously not everybody. I know for some of you that is a fetish, and I'm not here to judge your kinks. There's that. I'm sassy and gassy. I'm a sassy, gassy girl. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Freaky Friday. Now, like I said in the intro of this video, I am doing this completely off script, and this is not going to be like a scary story. I'm not going to sit here and tell you scary customs. There is a story that I've been wanting to tell you guys. I didn't know where to put it. I was like, should I just do like a talk and vlog and story time video? But it didn't feel right to put it in there. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna plug it into a Freaky Friday video. But there's nothing to really research about this story, since it's like a personal story from my mom. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go off script and just tell the story. The peanut butter was just a nice addition. I was just feeling peanut butter out of a jar, and that's why this is here. There's no purpose to this aside from the fact that this is just absolutely delicious. So, today's story is about the time that my mom had Yakuzas come into her pharmacy. If you guys don't know what Yakuza is the Japanese equivalent of a mafia. They're literally the Japanese mafia, but we call them Yakuzas, or Yakuza. When you hear about Yakuza, you think so ominously about them. But Yakuzas are interesting. A little bit different from your regular mafias of the mafia world. See, if that was scripted, that sentence would have been so much more coherent. One of the things that I appreciate about Yakuzas, you know, when you watch mafia movies, like especially if you see like The Godfather, oftentimes when mafia fights break out between two gangs, there's a lot of gunfights, especially like in the streets and stuff. Like if another gang sees another gang, they like shoot each other, and there's like, it doesn't really matter if there's any casualties, like civilian casualties, because at that moment it's about what they're trying to get done. In Japanese Yakuza, and I think this is because it ties into just Japanese society and just how we perceive our surroundings and the people around us, is one of the unspoken rules in Japanese society is live your life without inconveniencing other people. They really just fight amongst themselves. I'm not going to say bad people, but despite them doing bad things and making bad choices, they have some sort of a moral standard and moral compass, and you got to respect that. When I was a kid growing up, the person that lived right next to our house was actually like one of the top Yakuza people. I don't know like what he ranked in his organization, but he was a Yakuza boss. Every so often, black cars would be parked in front of his house, and people with suits and like sleeve tattoos would come in and out of his house, some of them missing their fingers, and they looked super intense. I remember one time I was trying to buy a drink at a vending machine and I didn't have enough, and I was kind of like pouting at myself, and one of those Yakuza guys, just like all tatted up, just came up and like he was like, juice kainasai, gave me money, and just like I bought a drink. Like he was super cool, super sweet. But the guy who lived in the house, the more higher up guy, after school sometimes I would like pass by his house, because how his house was here's the main road, here's his house, and mine is in the back of his house, and there's like a driveway. I would walk past his house sometimes to go into that driveway to my house. He would be in like cargo shorts with like a white tank top and like one of those sun hats and he'd be out there just like gardening, and then like you could see his like tatted sleeves up and down his arms, and then like he would see me passing by his house on the way to my house, and then he'd wave at me and he'd be like, oh, gakkou kara kaite kita no ka. But that's not the guy we're talking about today, although I just went on a whole spiel about him. The story that I'm going to be telling you today is my mom's encounter with Yakuza during the Yakuza War of 1990. Alright, I'll stop doing that. I know it's gross. Just a little bit of a backstory real quick before I get into the actual story. My mom is a pharmacist in Japan, and her store, especially when she was younger, much younger, when I was like growing up back in the 1990s, she would have her store open from 9 in the morning till 3 a.m. the next morning. So there's the Naha clan and the Koza clan, and every once in a while they get into a huge fight or war. 1990 was, I think, the last biggest war they were in with each other. And that was the time that my mom had her pharmacy. Well, she still does, but that was, you know, she had her pharmacy back then. This particular war was pretty big. They were duking it out for whatever reason, I don't know. It was getting to a point where the police had to get involved and like try to contain the Yakuza war, because it was going on for so long and it was getting kind of crazy. From what I remember, my mom was telling me by the time this story took place for her, that it had already been a couple weeks. And one night she was alone at her pharmacy. It was probably like almost midnight. She was by herself, and the way my mom's pharmacy is laid out is like one long tube. There's a front door, and then towards the back there's another door, and there's like two entrances. The door rings, and it's the front door. She goes up to the front counter and she sees two police officers walking in, and both of these police officers were ragged looking. They looked super tired. They had bags under their eyes, and they just looked absolutely exhausted. They came in looking for some energy supplements because they were so tired and they needed like a pick-me-up. And so my mom was like talking to them as she was, you know, recommending some supplements and some energy drinks that they could take. And she was just listening to their story, and they were just like, oh, you know, we've been at this for 2 weeks now. It's been really tiring. It doesn't look like they're gonna end their war anytime soon. They sat and kind of poured their heart out to my mom for a while, and then they bought their shit and left. And my mom swears by this. But she said just as the police officers left and the door closed, the back door opened. So she poked her head out from behind the counter to look at the back door of her store, and two young Yakuza men came walking in, and they're super exhausted. Just like the police officers who've been dealing with this bullshit for the last 2 weeks. These guys have been in the middle of it. One of the guys had like a runny nose. He was coughing. My mom's touched his forehead and she felt a little bit of a fever. And they came in and they're like, do you have any energy drinks? Do you have any cold medication? Because I think I'm coming down with something. So my mom sells the one guy coming down with a cold some medication. She recommends some energy drinks to the other guy. They're now telling her about just how tired they are and how exhausted they are and how they've been at this war for like 2 weeks, and like pouring their heart out to my mom, just like the police officers did. And my mom is like, you know, you guys should really stop this. This is really stupid. Like, you guys have been going at this for 2 weeks. Your body is breaking down from physical exhaustion. Like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? They're just like bowing their heads to her, and they're like, oh, we know. One guy's just kind of like tearing up because he's just so tired. My mom said they were extraordinarily sweet, and they were extraordinarily kind, and they were very, very respectful to her. They were so grateful to her for like selling them like energy drinks and helping the other guy with his developing cold, and like they bought the stuff and they eventually left while they were like telling her thank you and have a nice night and all of that. And that's pretty much where the story ends. I mean, there's no like climax to the story. It was just literally that police officer and a Yakuza barely missed each other, and both of them came in really tired from this war, and my mom was in the center of it. So anyways, I don't quite know how I'm gonna end this video. I don't even know if I'm gonna put this video up. Maybe I'll be editing this video and I'm like, you know what, I should probably actually write down some bullet points, because I feel like this video is like all over the place. If you made it this far, please feel free to hit the like and that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have any story or any like idea that you would like me to cover on Freaky Friday, please leave that in the comments section below. I usually do a lot of research for this stuff and I find topics to talk about. Every once in a while I would love to be able to cover a topic that you guys are interested in as well, so feel free to leave a Freaky Friday-esque video idea in the comment section below. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. I definitely enjoyed telling it. I love you guys. Peace. Bye. Boop.